Hello everybody and welcome to your Terra support guide. We're going to be starting off with our tier 2 boots, of course, our chalice of healing and hand of the gods, and we will of course be progressing that into our tank boots with our benevolence. Second, we're going to be grabbing Sundering Spear for our active. You basically get Sundering Spear and Blink right now on your supports. Terra doesn't make huge use out of the early game Blink, and sometimes you don't get Blink on her at all. So I like to go the early Sunder on her for a little bit of extra early fight potential. So Terra right now, I would put her somewhere around like slightly below average. A lot of her problems just come from the fact that her early game is not good. She just suffers a lot in the early game. She doesn't have very good clear. Once you get to level 3, your clear situation becomes a lot more bearable. But up until that point, you are definitely hurting in the clear department. So once you get out of the early game though, Terra does start to thrive in the actual team fight stage of the game. She is much, much better in the team fight stage of the game, where you get to utilize all of her CC, some of her healing, and all of her AoEs that she brings to the table. So your early game is really going to be about not feeding. If you can not die in the early game, that is going to be fantastic. It's not going to be the easiest task you've ever been given, but if you can find a way, then that's going to be where you want to be for the later stages of the game. At level 2, we're going to grab our 1. This is our dash. You can only use this. I'm trying to body block a little bit right here for my hunter, just to make sure he doesn't die. You're going to be mostly using your dash with your 2 and your 3 because it combines with those abilities. Most of the time using it with your 3. So you can dash your 2 walls and you can get some extra damage and some extra movement using the ability like that. It can also help you ultra early game here at level 2 with the wave clear, but it's going to consume a lot of mana and put me in a spot where I don't have my dash up anymore, and I'm certainly not going to do that against a Sobek. So the most of the time you're just going to use your 1 in order to smash your 3 and take that from the heal effect to the AoE damage and root effect, and that's when I can actually start getting some lane clear online. I also have AoE autos. If I have my 2 up or my 3 up, I'll have these nice little AoE autos to help clear as well, and so those aren't too shabby. But you really do have to be careful in the early game, going too far forward. I'm gonna grab myself just a little multi-pot here to stack up with my chalice of healing on my way back. You want to try to make sure, if you're gonna go with the boot start, that you back and you can get back to your ADC in time, right about the time that the purple spawning. So the purple spawning right about now, so I'll be here just in time. If I tried to clear this wave and then back, then I leave my ADCs purple susceptible to getting invaded. So try to time your back to where it's not going to screw over your ADC by letting the enemy team take their purple. So for our official level order on Terra, we are going to do 4, 3, 2, 1. So we level up our ultimate whenever we can, because it's going to increase the healing and the damage. Then we increase the 3 second to max, because once again, healing and damage. Finally, the 2 just for the damage, and then the 1. The 1, we're barely ever using the actual dash damage portion of this ability, unless we happen to be dashing through somebody on the way to one of our blocks. So Terra does provide good sustain for the team later on in those team fights through her 3 and her ultimate. And she also does have a couple of things that she can do pretty nice. One of those is, of course, she has knock-up immunity, knock-back immunity on her passive. So as long as I've got basically my 2 or my 3 out, or I've had my 2/3 out recently, then I'm gonna have this knock-up immunity. So it's very convenient against a god like Sobek, because Sobek won't just be able to pluck me willy-nilly. If I've got one of my rocks out, then I can't be knocked up, which is very nice. Now that I've got the Benevolence online, I can actually use a little bit more of my mana consumption because I do have the MP5 now from Benevolence, and I've also headed myself over to the mid lane. I find that about the time you get the Benevolence online, it's about the time you can look to start rotating on support. So once again, that level order, that is 4, 3, 2, 1. So a little reverse level order there on the Terra. For our build, it's going to be pretty standard. We're going to be starting off just going into the very regular support items. Pretty much every support build is going to start the same way right now. You're going to get those tank boots, yes, even though they've been nerfed. You're going to get your Benevolence, which is later going to turn itself into a Compassion for your team. And you're going to get yourself a nice early Thebes to start get it stacking for the most part, unless you're on a very aggressive support, in which case you might get something like a Stone of Binding. So I'm going to start rotating over here to the right, try to help out the boys that are over there. Looks like I'm dragging a creep with me, which is a little awkward. I'm going to try to stun the Sobek right as he's coming out of this. Not quite going to be able to do it. It's under some Chernobog in the back. Waiting for him to come out of this. I'm going to go ahead and go for the little root combo here. Now I'm going to pop my ulti now that they have the root on them. And they're going to take a lot of bonus damage from that. I'm going to get Fenrir ulti. I'm going to throw down a 2 on top of myself just in case Fenrir tries to come in on me anymore. And that is where we start to actually get to see the power of Terra. So I get a nice 3-man root by using my 3 into my 1. I follow up with the ultimate. They're stuck inside of my 3 at that point. So I am going to pop those procs very fast. And then they try to kill me, but I also get the heal proc from my ultimate as well. So remember that Terra's ultimate requires multiple iterations of damage for it to proc, both on the enemy and yourself. So if the enemy doesn't take a bunch of iterations of damage, it won't activate the stones, you won't get the blessing from the ability that does damage. Vice versa on yourself, you do need to actually take some more hits before it actually procs on you and all of your friendlies around you. Remember, this is a giant AoE. It's proccing on enemies, it's proccing on friendlies, it's doing everything. So you want to try to use it as much as you can right in the dead heat of a team fight. Unfortunate, those both had 2 HP left. Very rude. So for our matchups on Terra, we like Terra for 2 reasons. One, we like Terra if we need some late game potential. I know it's kind of weird to think of a support as late game, but if you've got a very heavy early game team, if your hunter is going to, let's say, be an Izanami, where she can just clear the wave, doesn't really have any worries in the world, right? She doesn't need too much help. She's going to be figuring it out all on herself. Well, maybe you just start to work on a late game support so you can help her out better in the team fights, because you're not going to need anything early game. So any sort of composition where you can be focused more on those post 10-minute team fights. So maybe you've got a Thanatos in the jungle, he's going to be applying early pressure. You've got a Cullen in the solo lane, he's going to be winning that lane. You know, you got this pressure all over the place. You just need to find yourself a way into these late game fights. So we get 1 kill here. We're probably not going to get any more off of this. I am going to hold my point here, level 8, so I can get a point in my 3 and my ultimate at level 9. The other thing she's good against is knock up heavy team comps. This is actually not a bad comp to go against as Baba Yaga. The Sobek can't really do this plug combo on me as long as I'm playing right there. They're gonna have a hard time getting off a good bit of their CC against me. So compositions that are very reliant on knock up and knock backs, she also does well against, because of course she has those immunities because of her passive. And also in general, she can be nice just for the sustain that she provides through her healing. So if your team has absolutely no sustain, oftentimes an enemy is not going to pick an anti-heal against Terra, because who's building anti-heal for against Terra? Think about yourself. Would you build anti-heal for just against Terra? Probably not. That would not be the first thing on your mind. But you can see on our team, we actually have a lot of healing. I would not recommend this with Terra. We've got a raw, we've got self-sustain. Wow, that's a hard one to say. We've got Erlang, ulti, all sorts of healing. So they're going to get a bunch of anti-healing, and that is going to affect me negatively. So I would try to pick Terra into a composition that has less healing than ours does right now. Now I'm going to back up because I want to make sure I can get that Gauntlet of Thebes the second I have enough gold. in order to get it, and also grab myself a sentry ward. Next up, I'm going to be focusing on ranking up that Sundering Spear. If you are going to get Sundering Spear early, make sure you rank it up, because that tier 2 is really where Sundering Spear starts to become very relevant, because you're going to get that bonus % damage on the target after you hit them with Sundering Spear. As far as the enemy team composition goes, Terra doesn't really have any gods that she like hard counters or anything. She does do better against gods with either no movement abilities or dashes. She tends to struggle against gods with lots of CC immunity and leaps. So I would try to stick away from that. So popular gods right now like Anhur tend to do pretty dang well. Into Terra, he's got a CC immune ulti. He can jump right on out of her abilities, but with dashes and stuff, oftentimes you can place down your 2 and try to body block them with the actual walls that it provides. And you can really get some big plays there. Or of course they don't have a movement ability at all regarding leaps and dashes, then you can like just body block them against a wall or something and make some pretty high plays. So now at this stage of the game, all I'm really concerned about is getting those thieves stacked online. Looking at their composition, doesn't look like I'm going to need a wing blade. I like the wing blade right about 3rd if you are going to get it. Very common support item right now. And oftentimes you are going to want to get it. So right there, I do stun the Baba Yaga right out of her little pluck. And then Selbek can't get me with his pluck either, because I've still got that remnant knock up immunity from my passive. You can see why it's so useful, particularly against the Selbeks of the world who are trying to flick you right on into their tower. We love knock up immunity. But I don't think they're gonna have enough slows, slows at least I'm scared enough of, in order to get the wing blade. So I can go a little bit more team focused. I'm gonna try to zone out the Selbek right here. Baba's coming in. Let's see if we can't force her to use her movement ability as well. Just gonna keep the pressure here on the mid lane while I'm building up those thief stacks. So for our standard combo on Terra, it's usually gonna be one of the 2 following combos. The most standard combos, we're gonna start off with our stun. We're gonna use our stun in order to get a stun on somebody, try to force a beads, or make it so we can get in the range of our follow-up. Our follow-up is going to be our 3 and then our 1. I'm gonna place down a sentry ward right here so we've got some vision as we head over to the Gold Ferry. They're not gonna make it in there in time at all because we've got everybody here. So often starting with your 2, reminder you can throw Terra 2 over walls now. She didn't used to work like that for a long time, but there was a quality of life change that they gave her. So you can throw that Terra 2 over walls, which gives you a lot more initiation capabilities. Then you're gonna follow up with your 3 right about on top of the target, and then the 1 in order to hit them with the root. That way they are stunned and then rooted. This is also the most CC efficient way to do your combo, because remember, in Smite there is diminishing returns, and certain abilities are not affected by diminishing returns.
Away with you!
So if you go for the root and then the stun, the root is gonna have is going to apply diminishing returns, and the stun is going to suffer them. So your stun is going to be about 33% shorter. If you do the stun and then the root, your root is actually not affected by DR. It applies DR, but it is not affected by it. So you will still get the full stun duration into then the full root duration. Selbek looks like he wants to pluck Erlang real bad, so I'm gonna head over this way to get right on top of Selbek. I'm gonna hit Selbek with that little root right there. I'm gonna pop my ultimate under the tower on top of everybody, throw down that Sunder on the chalk. I'm gonna keep tanking this tower for my team, and then I'm gonna reset it after 1 more tower shot. And we're gonna have a very nice fight underneath that tower. Now I can go ahead, back it up, get myself that Sundering Spear. Look at their composition. Physical, 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 triple physical, double magicals. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab my team a Sovereignty right here. And then for my second active, I'm going to get us a Shell. Shell is not nearly as strong as it used to be, but it is still a good active to help keep your carries alive. Terra does not particularly need Blink. She is not a very strong user of it. Her initiation, she can typically do on her own, like we talked about earlier, with the 2 follow-up into the 3-1 ultimate.
Enemy missing left.
The only real benefit of the blink is that you can blink and ulti immediately in a team fight on the enemy team, but keep in mind that you will probably be too far away from your own team, so your team won't get those beneficial healing aspects of the Terra ult if you do that, but it is a very aggressive playstyle way to go. I myself prefer to wait on the ultimate until after everybody's a little bit more grouped up, so not only do I hit the enemy team, I also hit my friendlies with the ulti as well. Now that my Thebes is fully stacked and I've got the Sov online, I am really tanky right now, so I can afford to be quite aggressive with my positioning. Need to make sure that I get some more sentry wards out for the team. I'm gonna start rotating over towards my Anhur. I'm actually gonna use my 3 right here just to get my double dash off to try to get to him a little bit sooner. Doesn't look like it is actually going to matter. Fenrir is here as well. And they're just going to reset back underneath their tier 2 tower, unfortunately. If they come out for this Scorpion right here, we do not actually have to give up this Scorpion for free. I'm just going to kind of sit here and annoy them. Maybe Baba Yaga loses some XP in the mid lane. I've already got a 3 level lead on Sobek, so I don't actually need to do anything here too crazy. I'm just trying to annoy them and make sure they're losing out on as much as possible. Got that out a little stun right there over the wall onto the Turnibug. Follow up with that 3-1 combo. Hopefully my bleed is going to be enough. Now I'm going to use my ultimate here for the set. He is tanking the tower. I'm going to try to run over to him, throw down my Sunder onto the Sobek, use my Shell to keep the set alive, and then make sure that if I need to tank the tower, I can. So right there, you can see I do not use my ultimate right off the bat. I wait. I'm waiting for right now for the Baba Yaga to jump. He's going to go right there for the set. I'm going to throw down my 3 for the heal for my team. And now we can sustain up a little bit as well while we are waiting for these creeps to push up into the tower. So I start off the fight with a stun over the wall on the Turnibug. Give the set an opportunity to initiate and go in after that. Follow up with the 3-1 for the damage in the root. As soon as I got that going, then I follow up with the ultimate. Fenrir pulls set into the tower, but he already has my ulti on him. So he actually ends up healing from that. And then, of course, we throw in a Shell for good measure, although I probably didn't even need to use the Shell there on set, but the fight was going so well, there was no reason to try to risk something going wrong. So I'm going to take this Gold Fairy right here, and I'm actually not going to explode my 3. I'm going to just be using it right now for the sustain effect for some of that healing. Once I think it's getting pretty low, it doesn't have that much time left, then I'm going to go ahead and use it for that damage. And now I'm going to walk up towards Sobek. I'm going to wait for him to pluck, follow up with him on the stun, and just generically keep him as slow as I can. I know that his pluck is down, so I'm going to go ahead and throw down to 3 as he nears the end of his ultimate, so I can follow up with the root the second that he comes out of that CC immunity. Now at this point, we should just be looking around, trying to steal their buffs. After we steal their buffs, we can back it up and honestly probably go look for a fire giant because they are pretty far behind and we have double healing with the Ra and the Terra, so I see no reason why we couldn't go for it. I'm also going to pick up this red buff because my Ra is going to be too far away to come pick it up. It'll be a little bit dangerous for him. Now I'm going to go a little bit more selfish right now. I'm going to start heading myself into a Pridven. That Pridven's going to give me some good CDR that I am missing right now. And because I've got so many protections from the Thebes and everything, I'm going to get huge value out of that Terra ult shield after I use my ultimate. So not only will it be healing me, but it's also going to provide me with a shield, once again letting me play even more aggressive. Now, as far as supports generically at the end of the game, what are you looking to do? As always, you have a two-pronged job. You are looking to initiate and then peel. So you are looking to start off the fight. Typically with Terra, like I said, it's going to be 2, followed by the 3-1 combo, then your ultimate.
This is fun.
I'm going to call for the fire giant. But after you initiate, it's not your job to keep diving into the back line. That is your solo laner's job. That is your assassin's job. So after I do my initial starting of the fight, then I immediately start looking around to peel for whoever is in trouble. This game, I'm focusing mostly on my set and my Anher. I feel like Ra can kind of take care for himself with his bonus movement speed and his sustain. So I am mostly trying to peel for the Anher and the set. I feel like they are kind of the ones hyper carrying right now. So they're the ones that I'm going to keep alive. You're always going to want to pick 1 or 2 people on your team that you're going to pay extra close attention to. And that's going to be whoever happens to be the most fed in that particular match. That's going to change from game to game. But oftentimes, of course, it's going to be your assassin and your hunter just because of the meta that we are in right now. So here at the very end of the game, I've got myself some good cooldowns now. I've got myself some good physical and magical protections. So now it can be entirely situational. I could go something like a spirit robe and get myself some mitigations on top of everything. This game, I'm going to get myself into a relic dagger. I'm going to get that shell up more often. I'm going to get that sunder up more often. So it's going to be kind of a hybrid in the middle, a little bit more aggressive. It's not going to give me any more protections or anything to stack up with the Pridvin, but it will give me those extra cooldowns, both through the 10% on the item, and it's also going to give me that a little bit of bonus movement speed, just to make sure that I can actually follow up on the initiation, because I did not, of course, go blink, so I will have to be kind of just manually walking into these fights. Just a little bit of extra movement speed to help me get in there before the team to initiate. At this point, we've got the Chernobog dead, and we should be walking right to the mid lane. I'm going to throw down my stun right onto the Baba. That is going to catch her out. Follow up with a little 3-1 combo. Now I'm going to peel back to the back line, throw down my ulti for all of my boys back here. Throw down the Sunder onto the Chalk. He's going to take a bunch of damage. Now I am still tanking the Phoenix, making sure to slow him down with my auto attacks as well. Remember, not only do your auto attacks give you knock-up immunity when you have your rocks active, but you also get that little bit of bonus damage AoE attack that slows as well. So you can keep people kind of away from your team. So in that last little fight right there, you can see that I started off the fight by going really hard on their backline, and then immediately after I used my full kit, peeled back to the backline, looked at my team that was getting dope, made sure to use my shell, made sure to use my ultimate in a defensive manner in order to keep them alive. And then, of course, when my abilities came back up again, made sure to use that 3 for the sustain on my team, not necessarily using it for that root dash combo, guys. So with Terra, pair them with high lane clear hunters and across the map high pressure, because you are not going to provide high pressure on your Terra, but you will provide a lot of team fight potential once you get to the 15+ minute section of the game, guys, and that is your Terra support. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.